Alright guys, we are out in the loft feeding. This is my second feed of the day. I figure a quick breeding update is necessary. I'm seeing a lot of guys put out videos and I'm sort of anxious to put one out as well. Like I said, this is the second feed of the day. I do feed in the morning and I feed in the afternoon when I get home from work. I find that it really helps encourage the birds to feed the youngsters more often than they normally would. And I've proven this to myself in my years of breeding. The more times you can feed throughout the day, the better it is for the birds. What ends up happening is the birds will eat, feed the youngsters, go back down to eat for themselves, and because they're not hungry, they think the babies aren't hungry. So in this case, by feeding a smaller amount multiple times a day, they're always eating, they're always encouraged to feed the youngsters. And I've raised some really beautiful, healthy youngsters this way. The only exception, guys, is if it's really cold out. If we're talking negative degrees and you have fresh eggs or fresh babies, fill the hopper and keep it full. You don't want the birds to come off of the nest for too long in search for food, or in this case, in search for grit. I put some fresh grit down, and of course, they're getting crazy over it. So that's the only exception. If it is really cold, leave the hopper full. But in this case, we have relatively mild temperatures. I'm going to feed multiple times a day, and the youngsters are growing beautifully. We have youngsters in almost every bowl, guys. Almost every bowl. Everything is moving along nicely. But with that being said, I have not been able to avoid the curse of the first round, if you like to call it that. I have had some issues early. They weren't very big issues. If you guys remember my previous video, we had 2 fertile eggs, one in this bowl, one in the bottom bowl. I made the decision to combine the youngsters or the eggs into that bowl. One egg did not make it. The second egg, on day of hatch, the parents decided that they don't want to sit on it. I came in here, found the parents were off. I grabbed the egg. I noticed that it was hatching, but it wasn't warm, or at least just to say it wasn't hot. It was just lukewarm, and I knew that that was a problem. So I made the decision to take that egg and put it under that pair in the corner. Now they only had one youngster, and the youngster was about a day old. So I figured if the second egg hatches, the babies wouldn't be too much of a difference in size and age. So I let the youngster hatch, but unfortunately it hatched a day later. So now we're talking 2, maybe 3 days difference between the youngster in that bowl and the egg that I just put in there. Fortunately enough for me, I was able to combine these 2 babies. So their first youngster hatched a day or so ahead of the second, as well as that one. So I was able to combine the 2 larger babies into this bowl and the 2 young babies or smaller babies into that bowl. Now I did put counter markers on the babies, so I know which pair is which, because you might notice there are 2 blue bars in those bowls. So if you're not careful, you'll forget which parent is which. I put counter markers on the babies. I made notations so I don't forget. And I have been checking the last couple of days, and they are growing beautifully. Again, they were different in size, and now they're almost identical in size. I'm going to try to sneak in here without creating too much chaos. Let me see if I can get into these youngsters just to show you guys how they're looking. Now, these youngsters are not nest mates, and you guys can see they are almost identical in size. Come on, Daddy. I mean, very, very small difference in between the 2. I think they'll grow beautifully. And then the second youngster that was in here, they are a little bit smaller because they were smaller. Easy, big boy, easy. And they're almost identical in size. That's my Chris cock there. Beautiful bird. But they're almost identical in size. I think they'll grow beautifully. They'll grow beautifully. And as long as I got the notations and the counter markers on the birds, I won't have an issue remembering who's who. There he is running off the nest. Man, I don't think it affects the birds as much as it bothers me when they run off the nest like that. And that's one of my best breeders too, and I don't understand why he's so skittish. I mean, I'm in here every single day without exception, you know, and again, they're so skittish. I do think that maybe that's why this bowl failed, is because you notice they haven't been in here since I've been in here, and I think that's what's happening. They're just so eager to run away, and it's causing issues. And I think for the next update to the loft, I want to put small boxes inside the boxes over the nest bowls, if that makes sense. So I just want to cover each bowl with a small box and create a cavity where they feel a little bit more secure, a little more safe, I guess, and maybe less fearful of me walking in the loft. I do occasionally close the aviary from the outside, and that will keep them in the loft, obviously. And you'll see it's funny, they run out to the very edge, realize that they can't run away, and they go right back in their bowl. And again, it bothers me more than I think it's affecting the youngsters or the eggs, but it still bothers me so bad. Again, I'm in here feeding every day without exception, and you know, I don't know what it is, why they fear me so much. And it only takes one bird. It only takes one bird to be fearful and to run away, and then they all follow along. It's instincts for them. But you know, that's just me ranting, guys. Pigeons are pigeons. They don't have consciousness. They don't realize, you know, what they're doing. They're doing it, you know, out of basic instinct. You guys may notice that the bottom box is empty. Again, we were not able to completely avoid the curse of the first round. The red pair in the bottom, or the middle box there, did not make it, guys. I tried everything. They just would not take. Even though the video showed otherwise, nothing. I had to close the box off because the pair in the left here was moving over to the right, and they were starting to fill that bowl. And I didn't want that. I wanted them to be in their same bowl. So at this point, we have 10 pair in here, and we're still doing good. Like I said, we have babies in almost every bowl. We got eggs in this bowl, and we're waiting for eggs in that bowl. Apart from that, that's pretty much it, guys. Try to make this video a little bit shorter than normal. My hands are freezing. It is relatively cold out right now, and I don't want to get the birds off of the nest for too long. They're all pretty much hunkered down, and we'll leave it at that. So babies are coming right along. I think it's going to be a good first round, and we'll see how the second round goes, guys. And with that being said, guys, we'll see you on the next one.